What's going on, everybody? I'm Steven. This is my new channel, FWP Reviews, and I'm excited for you all to be a part of this as we explore the world of movies. Today I'm going to be going over all the movies I was fortunate enough to see this month in January, and I'm just going to go through basically my 3 least favorites, and then I'm going to go through my 3 favorites, so yeah. To start things off, I'm going to start with my 3rd least favorite movie of January, and that movie this year was The Turning. Now, The Turning, it starts out as your pretty standard run-of-the-mill January horror. Mackenzie Davis stars as the lead, and she's hired as a live-in nanny, and she's basically hired to take care of these thoroughbred orphans who live in this big creepy house at the top of this creepy hill. And when she gets there, she starts working and everything's fine, and then it starts getting creepy, and then it's just a horror movie after that. It really starts out as like an average January horror movie. You don't really expect much. You're just like, okay, this is gonna be whatever, and you're watching it, and that's really how it started. I mean, at the beginning there were cool little like shots and stuff around the creepy house, and it wasn't scary, but it was creepy, and I did enjoy that. And then I don't know, at some point the characters started to fall flat, and it was really stale, and it was just bad. And then the movie just insults you and all of your relatives by the way it ends, and I really cannot emphasize how bad the movie is when it ends. It's going, and it seems like it's gonna take maybe a different kind of approach to an ending and a cool kind of approach, and then it just poof, it's over, and you're just left sitting there feeling like you wasted your money, which you probably did if you're watching this movie and you paid any money for it. Alright, so my 2nd least favorite movie of this month was A Fall from Grace. A Fall from Grace is the new Tyler Perry directed, produced Netflix movie. This movie is about a basic public defender who is still kind of new at what she does, but all she's ever done is taken plea deals. She's never actually been to a trial. And she gets assigned to this case with this alleged murderer, and as she starts talking to this lady, she really starts to believe that she didn't do it, even though the accused does want to plead guilty. And as the story starts to unfold, you start to kind of get the sense that she's not guilty, and it starts to play into some sort of mysterious what's going on, why is she wanting to plead guilty and stuff, and it kind of unfolds from there. The Fall from Grace is bad. Like, really bad. So thank goodness it's a streaming movie, so if you want to watch it, you're not going to waste any money. I'd argue I'd ask Netflix for my money back after they made me watch that movie, but I digress. It's really bad. The dialogue is bad. The production is bad. It's so stale and so boring, and I don't know how that got anywhere with anybody, because it is so bad. And it's not interesting, it's not compelling, and by about an hour and 50 minutes into the 2 hours, nothing has really happened. And then right at the very end, it's like, boom, here's a huge twist that's supposed to change the game completely. It's not that cool of a twist. There was no build up to the twist. So yes, you didn't see it coming, but it was because there was poor storytelling. And then the twist happens and the movie is over. And you're sitting there like, well, I'm glad everybody ended up getting what they deserved. The bad people ended up going to jail, and the good people ended up being freed, but there's no time to marinate in it, which I at that point I didn't expect from this movie because of how bad everything else was. And don't watch this movie, it's a waste of 2 hours. Here it is, my least favorite movie of January. Like a Boss. This is one of the first movies I actually saw this month, and it centers around 2 young best friends. They've been best friends since high school and college, and they've been roommates forever. They still live together, and they run a makeup company. And the makeup company is just in the crap. Like, hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt for God knows why. And so this big timey makeup lady comes to them and offers them a solution. She's going to pay them $1 million in cash, and she's going to take part of the stake in the business. And one of the things that the best friends started with was, well, we don't really want to ever have anybody else involved in our business stake-wise. Like, they don't want to have any sort of ownership of the company, and they want it to be their thing. And one of them knows how much they're in debt and is like, we need to do this. And one of them's like, well, we did say this before. And that starts sort of a division between them. And you start to see that the big time makeup lady doesn't have very good intentions for them. And it just goes from there. This is probably one of the worst movies I've ever seen. It is just horrendous. I'm glad it was only an hour and 24 minutes, I think, because every single minute of it, I lost a lot of brain cells. Everybody who's involved in this movie is a likable actor, actress. They all have great roles. They're all great at what they do, but this movie is just so bad. I don't know who wrote this or came up with the idea. It just falls so flat, and it's so infuriatingly bad. Like, it's tries so hard to be funny, but it is quite honestly one of the least funny things I've ever been a part of. And you're sitting there the whole time wanting it to end, and they try to make it have this good message, but it's just so stupid, not funny, and unintelligent. It felt like I felt like I was in purgatory while I was watching this movie. So do not ever watch this movie. Please, if there's one thing you take away from this video, it is do not watch Like a Boss. Now that I've subjected you all to the flaming dumpster fires of the January 2020 movies, let's look at the best. So to start this out, we're going to start with my third favorite movie of this month. That's going to be Guy Ritchie's new movie, The Gentleman. The Gentleman centers around Hugh Grant's character coming to one of the main character, which is Matthew McConaughey's character, bodyguards, heavies, whatever you want to call him, Charlie Hunnam. And Hugh Grant's talking to Charlie Hunnam's character, trying to convince him to get his boss to give him money because he's got dirt on them. So he basically pitches their story as a screenplay, and I think it's a very innovative way to do this storytelling. And as it goes, you're kind of led to not exactly believe what Hugh Grant says, because occasionally Charlie Hunnam comes in and is like, that literally did not happen. And it's a very intriguing way to tell a story, and it does tell a very interesting story at that. Now, The Gentleman, it's so funny. It's so great, honestly. Like, it's a very enjoyable experience, and the whole time I was genuinely entertained, and I was honestly surprised that I was entertained by a movie this month, but here we are. And all of the characters, Charlie Hunnam's character, Matthew McConaughey's character, Colin Farrell's character, they're all great. Everybody in this movie does a really good job. They all bounce off each other really well. The story's kind of nonsensical, but I mean, it's a Guy Ritchie movie. The Guy Ritchie gangster comedy. What did you expect? So, really, besides the nonsense that it kind of just throws at you, this is a really funny, fast-talking, exciting, just great gangster comedy. Is it as good as Snatch? I don't know, because I've actually never watched it, but I think this one's a really good addition to Guy Ritchie's repertoire, and I really suggest that you go check this one out in theaters if you have the time. The second best movie of January, I think it's got to be Bad Boys for Life. Bad Boys for Life centers around Will Smith and Martin Lawrence's characters from the previous Bad Boys movies, except now they're old farts, and they're getting up there in the age. They're not really that old, but they're getting up there, and Martin Lawrence really wants to retire, and Will Smith's like, why would you want to do that? And some stuff unravels, and Martin Lawrence ends up going into retirement, and Will Smith's character is just hoping that he can get Martin Lawrence's out because of some big stuff that's going down. And it really just focuses on that and goes from there. This movie has just a slight edge over The Gentleman, I feel like. And I feel like it's just a little bit funnier, and it's got a lot more heart, and I feel like that really benefited it. Will Smith and Martin Lawrence both do a great job. I mean, they still got it. I mean, that's all I really have to say about that. And the new addition of all the different teams and stuff was just very invigorating, and it felt very fresh. It was fun and it was heartfelt at the same time, and I feel like it was a lot more polished than some of the other Bad Boys movies, and I feel like it really benefited from that, because before Bad Boys was like, oh, look at this cool movie. Now I really feel like Bad Boys movie took a mature step, like its main characters who have grown a little bit, and it turned it into a genuinely very good movie. And this one's definitely worth checking out. It's probably still in theaters. I think it was probably the highest grossing January movie ever or something like that. So you should definitely go check it out if you haven't already. My favorite movie this month was actually a documentary, which I was surprised by, but it was the new documentary on Netflix called Miss Americana, about pop star, legend, whatever you want to call her, Taylor Swift. This documentary really centers around her life, as many documentaries do, and it sets up a lot of what went into her decision to try to be more outspoken in the 2018 midterm elections, when previously she had never ever done anything about politics. And it was an interesting way to look at something like that. This documentary is compelling, and it tells a great story about, I think, one of the genuinely best celebrities we have, and some of the struggles she went through. And it did a good job of showcasing that celebrities are humans too. And I know everybody knows that, we all know that, but sometimes we need to be reminded, because they go through stuff too. Their money doesn't solve their problems. In fact, a lot of times it causes more problems. And it was really interesting for her to be open and vulnerable and use this platform that she'd been given to help kind of shed a light on what she's been through. And it also was just very touching, and it was told in an effective way. I used to be a fan, I mean, when I was younger, because I loved country music and I loved her songs, and when it played those old songs, I'd hear them and it was, wow, that's so cool, I remember those. And it played the new songs, be like, oh, I still even kind of recognize those, even though I haven't kind of kept up with her work as much. And it showed an evolution of her music effectively next to her evolution into being more outspoken politically and speaking up for people who need it, because she does have the ability to help by using her voice. And I think that was the strongest part of this, even though I did want it to go a little deeper on some of the themes it put forward and more of the hard decisions she's had to make, such as just delving more into what went into the decision to be more outspoken about the elections. Because I know all of her press team was like, leave it out, stop, don't do it, it's a dumb idea. And I feel like one of the other more effective parts was seeing the struggles she went through with the VMAs in 2009, when Kanye West just ran up there and just kind of toasted her in front of the crowd, and it was incredibly rude. And that you kind of see that build into the rivalry when she kind of just went out of society for a little while because of what her and Kanye West were beefing about, to say. And I also feel like the part touching on the eating disorders, I feel like that's just something that people anywhere can go through, and she went through because she was famous. She thought that'd be pretty, but people everywhere go through that kind of stuff, and it was very effective to see someone in such a high place, unfortunately, be a victim to that, and to hear how she has coped with it. And I feel like that could help a lot of people, and I feel like it was just a very personal look at a very influential and genuinely good person's life. Alright, that's all I've got for you guys this month. Thank you for checking out my channel. I have another video for you guys next month, and I actually have written reviews for all of these movies and the movies that I saw that didn't make the top 3 worst or best over at my Instagram at FWP Reviews 100, and I also have a Twitter account, FWP Reviews. And if you guys want any more content, I think you should go check them out, and leave a comment below. Tell me what you think.